What is going on, you guys? It is your boy Cyrus Obsidian here at Obsidian Games, here to bring you another episode of Local Diaries. So let us dive right in. So for this episode of Local Diaries, I am super excited to be taking a deck that freely just got unbanned from the ban list in Mathmech. So I have been a huge advocate for Mathmech for years. This has been a strategy that I have topped with. I have also lost with. It has been a strategy that I've melded in different cyber strategies in the past. One of them made a debut on the channel. The other one hasn't. We have melded it with Malice and it's synergized decently enough, but now we're going to take it back to its roots and play pure. We did take this to a 2v2 event where we saw success, but that was success with someone else. We're going to see how far we can push this deck by itself with a side deck this time to see how far we can go and to see how well we can beat against the meta. Unfortunately, we're not going to see a sneak peek for Alliance Insight, at least tonight at our locals, but tomorrow we will be going to a 2v2 where we will be seeing a Alliance Insight sneak peek where we can hopefully top playing something that I think is a little bit cooking and does get support later this year. But for now, let me show you the Malice deck profile that we are rocking with, and then we'll head out to locals to see how far we can go. All right, I'm super pumped to debut this at an actual locals where we can actually take it with no support from a friend. So let's dive into this profile. And, representing the mat that we won off of this deck when circular was legal at 3, but for now, we've got little circular at 1. We got 2 copies of addition, 2 copies of subtraction, 2 copies of sigma, 1 copy of diameter, and 1 multiplication. I have seen a deck profile that played 3 diameter, which I think is a little overkill in my opinion, but that is just my opinion. I think having diameter at 1 is what you need because we do complement with 1 equation, 1 superfactorial. And then, we play a lot of other cybers cards, which I did notice this version that I saw was not playing. Speaking of the Firewall Dragon behind us, we got 3 copies of Defensor with 3 copies of Guardian, and then 3 copies of Parallel Exceed. So I think this engine is really good to play because normal summoning the Defensor gets you into circular just a roundabout way. It also helps bait with a few more hand traps if you have any other extenders in your hand, which is also really awesome. And then, extenders, right? We are playing 3 copies of Cynet Mining and 2 copies of Small World. This profile again was playing 3. I don't see anything wrong with that because it does help with consistency. But for me, I more often than not see Small World way too many times over Cynet Mining. So I decided to go with 2 copies of Small World. And back when I used to play Mathmech, I kept Small World, I think, at 2. I did play a couple times at 3, and you can check out those videos if you want from 2 years ago. But I think this is really adequate to what you need to get into your engine if you need to. And then the rest of this is hand traps. So we start off by playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 copies of Effect Veiler, because Ash and Veiler I think are really great right now. 3 copies of Ogre as well, because Ogre is also another really great card. 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird, which Droll is getting a staple back into this meta, with 3 copies of Imperm, 1 copy of Crossout, and 1 Call by the Grave. With Crossout Designator being at 1, I see no issue playing it at 1 in the main, so we're just going to go ahead and play with it anyways. But I think these are all solid hand traps going into this format. Right as soon as Alan comes into play, which hopefully doesn't change much, but it will change a lot of what you will play in my opinion, because Malice will definitely be the best deck to beat. But we also don't know how Regenesis will play out or how the Pure Mitsurugi will play out. So those are things to also look out for. For the extra deck, we are playing 1 copy of Cybers to Savler with 1 Enigmaster Pack Pit for our Terahertz line. And then rounding out the Terahertz line, we play 1 Aggregator because these are just really great at being able to just interrupt our opponent no matter what. And then for the rest, we play two copies of Allen version and one Laplacion to round out our XZs. I definitely think Allen version is definitely needed at 2, just to get you into some of your engine. And if your Super Factorial does get interrupted with like a Bastille, you still get to summon 2, and then Allen version you summon into. So there's that for you. And then as for our links, we do play 1 copy of Lingaribo and 1 copy of Link Spider. We play 1 G-Golem Crystal Heart, 1 Splash, 1 Update, 1 Heat Soul, 1 Transcode, 1 Access Code, and 1 Terahertz. So I think this has just always been the standard Mathmech line. Before Terahertz was a thing, we could play 2 Access Code Talkers. And I'm not saying that you can't play 2 Access Code Talkers today. You just have to figure out something to drop. But I definitely like the Terahertz line, because I mean, you can OTK with Terahertz or Access Code, just depending on what you need. Because most of the times, if you're playing into like a Kashtira, they will remove Access Code and Splash Mage, like hands down. And not realizing that you can use Update Jammer to still go into Terahertz, and then Terahertz swing twice for a lot of damage, especially if you send Multiplication. But that is it for the extra deck. We're gonna go to our side deck, which is a little pricey. But if you can afford one of the cards I'll show you, then definitely play it. If not, there is a substitute. We're playing 3 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being, with 3 copies of Mulcharmy Perulia. Which, if you cannot play Perulia by any means, what you can do is up it or change it to either something with like a Ghost Spell, Ghost Mourner, and then same thing goes with Fuelos if you can't afford the Fuelos as well. But Fuelos being reprinted as a super, I think this should be easy enough to access over the Perulia. And Perulia isn't a mandatory card to play, especially if you are expecting to play like a lot of meta decks like Malice, Ryzeal, soon to be Mitsurugi. Fuelos, or I guess Perulia will see a mainstay again just because of Mitsurugi. But for now, Fuelos is definitely one that you can get away with. And then we play 3 copies of Metaltronus, 2 Lightning Storm, and 1 Duster, because we do respect back row and wanting to get rid of back row. This is our outs. Metaltronus, again, is just a really good stop into Ryzeal. Typically, if we're playing against Ryzeal, we'll sub these in. Just that way we can Metaltronus to get rid of, and then Nib as well is just really great breaking the board. But that is it for our side deck. Let us take Mathmech to locals to see how far we can get. So here we are at Duke City. Again, it is not an Allen sneak peek, so none of the Allen cards are legal. So we're able to go into round 1, and we are playing against Blue Eyes White Dragon. He wins the die roll, tells me to go first, which I'm a little worried that he's playing OTK Blue Eyes. So we're able to set up our board. We end with Terahertz, Super Factorial, a set small roll just because of bluff, with roll in hand. We had to send Diameter off with Terahertz on my turn, and we did play through Ashen Infirm, but they were at the wrong junctions where he had Ashen Infirmed me, so that's just the whole premise of not knowing how to play against my deck, but that's just how it goes. We're able to droll him, which stops him from doing things. After seeing his hand, I was like, he still could have done stuff, but it was okay. Came back to me, we just multiplication OTK'd. Going to game 2, he tells me to go first again. This time we set up a pretty similar board, but this time Terahertz, Heat Soul, Imperm, Super Factorial, and we just had gas in hand. We didn't see any hand traps, funny enough. But we had to go Signet Mining. We were ashed again. We were, I think, Veilered this time. But we were able to play through that to set up all that. So playing through 2 is pretty substantial in my opinion. And then again, we just OTK'd. On his turn, since we didn't have any hand traps, we used our on-board presence. We didn't use the Save Worm. We did use Packbit, though, to put back one of his monsters. We did use the Imperm. And then when it came to me, we used Super Factorial, so that way I could solidify having to use an Omnigate on my turn. And we just OTK with Super Factorial, or sorry, with Multiplication going into Terahertz. So we're 1-0 with 3 rounds. It's 4 rounds of Swiss tonight, so we'll see how far we can go with Mathmech. So round 2, we play against a Bestial Dark Magician Fiendsmith. And he went first, he won the die roll. We drew 3 Ogre. Firewall Defenser. I don't remember what my other card was, but I know it was useless. Mathemech Equation. That's what I had. Yeah. Sucked. He took it. Game 2. We went first. We drew 2 Signets. Small World. Valor Callby. Signet Mining resolved. But he had Ash. He had Imperm. He had Bestial. We tried. We went Heat Soul Pass with Super Factor somehow. But that wasn't enough because we didn't have diameter. We weren't able to get that. So I mean, we were cooked. And I had no hand traps, so there was nothing we could do. And playing the 3 different engines, he just cooked me. I got cooked. I mean, we could have kept the Valor. We could have just not been an idiot, but I got rid of the Valor trying to bridge into circular, realizing I didn't have the bridge into circular, so I effed that up. So that was on me. I should have just kept the Valor, but I don't think that would have been enough anyways, because our Heat Soul draws gave us Imperm and a Defender. Oh no, we just got Imperm and then drew for turn Defender. And we didn't have another Link 1 because we used Link Rebuild. Yeah. 1-1. There's definitely some improvement I could have done during that. I should have just kept the Small World with the Valor, used the Valor, just ended on Heat Soul, and then kept the Linger Rebo. But I mean, there's just knowing that he didn't side, and I doubt he's playing main deck evenly. Could have just kept it and just, when it came back to me, just try to break the Fiendsmith board with the Bestial. Yeah, I think that's what he just entered into. But it is what it is. So we'll see where round 3 takes us. So round 3, we play against a kid. I didn't mention it. Round 1, we played against a kid as well, playing Blue Eyes. But this time we're playing against Dark World. And having played Dark World ourselves, we know that Droll is a very critical card that stops their deck. We saw Droll both games. And he just like set up a decent board. He ceruleed me, but it just didn't do enough. So we eventually just came back to me, made access code twice, no TK. So live and learn. We played like 3 more games, and it was just the same story every time. Make access code OTK. But gave him some pointers and taught him a little bit of like the wording of cards, because there were some like discrepancies with like send, destroy, and just things like that, since he is learning. So we're able to help teach that a little bit, and hopefully when he comes back, you know, he's better prepared and he knows the lingo a little bit better. Because I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh is hard, English is hard. So grateful that we have judges and, you know, things in place to help teach and educate us, because it is hard just understanding the lingo and wording of things, because English sucks. But you didn't hear from me. But we got 1 more round left. We'll see what happens. We're 2-1. We win. Cool. If we don't, oh well. I'm having fun piloting the deck. I love opening circular, especially when it's a 1-of and we just full combo off a circular. I also love opening Defensor and Defensor not getting interrupted, and we just get into circular and still go full combo. So it's a win-win situation. Last and final round, we play against Malice. So a deck that I love playing myself, we play against it. We go first, we win die roll. We set up Terahertz, Super Factorial, some hand traps, pass. He couldn't break through it. We OTK'd him with Terahertz, sending multiplication during my turn to double its attack. I mean, it was definitely overkill, but we did it. Game 2, we opened up all gas. We drew for turn, it was Droll. I'm like, of course. We tried to play through it as much as we could, but he had drolled me, so it was just like, funny how that plays out. So I lose. We go back to game 3. I go first. We play through an Imperm. We play through an Ash. We set up Super Factorial, Terahertz, Heat Soul, and then just no cards in hand. But we were able to draw for Heat Soul. We got an addition. He forced me Terahertz out, but we still had Super Factorial with diameter engraved, so we're able to control the board there. Came back to me. We came up with the craziest play. We were like, okay, how do we kill him? So we linked off, we heat soul Drew, we linked off to G Golem. G Golem bring back Transcode. Transcode bring back Splash. Splash special out Diameter. Link into access code in the main monster zone. Use Sigma to special back. Overlay into Alimbertion. Trigger Alimbertion. He impermed it or ashed it, but we could have stopped it. But we're just like, we just need the damage, and we just swung for game. So we're to take it. We went 3-1, but we did not make it in Top Cut. We were 1 point shy, or we were just tiebreakers. We ended up in 5th place out of 12, I think. Might have been 16, 14, I think it was 14. I don't know, I'd have to go back and count, but not too bad. When we played against 2 kids, we played against Malice, and we played against Fiendsmith, Cashier, or Fiendsmith, Bestial, Dark Magician, which just that straight pile deck just kind of screwed us over. We're not seeing any hand traps either, so. But ending 3-1 is pretty impressive for the deck, I will say. I definitely enjoy it, and honestly, as I said in the 2v2, this deck is really great, especially with all the non-engine you can play. And adding in Call By and Cross Out does help. You know, if you do see them, you know, you're able to solidify like what hand traps you need to stop. I did side in Molcharmi Foolos in the last game, hoping to see Cross Out. If I didn't, Foolos was just going to be a bridge into it, whatever we needed. So it played out, and it worked in our favor. But that's it for this Local Diaries, everyone. Like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend. Let me know what you think of Mathmech, and if you think the deck has some potential. And for that, I'll pass it over to you.